Well, CBC meteorologist and seismologist Johanna Wagstack joins us now from Vancouver. And Johanna, tell us more about this quake.
Well, Ian, this fairly sizable and shallow earthquake actually happened on a strike-slip fault line, meaning two plates sliding beside each other, and that's what caused the shaking. What we don't know is what fault actually ruptured or broke during this earthquake. We know it wasn't the infamous San Andreas fault, but one of the dozens, if not hundreds, of other smaller faults that make up the San Andreas fault system. This is an incredibly seismically active area. So while we don't know the actual fault line, the aftershocks that'll likely continue, as you mentioned, will help define what fault actually did rupture. And as we've heard, it was a combination, even though this wasn't the big one, a combination of the older infrastructure, the epicenter, and the fact that underneath this earthquake is landfill and mud, and that helped to amplify the shaking, and that's what really made this one so damaging, Ian.
And Johanna, the University of California at Berkeley released video of an early warning system that sent a computer alert this morning. Let's take a look at that.
Earthquake, light shaking expected in 3 seconds.
In 3 seconds, Johanna. I'm not sure what I'd do with that warning, but tell us about the significance of the alert.
Well, Ian, 10 seconds warning doesn't sound like a lot, but that's enough to shut down dangerous infrastructure, pause surgeries, take cover, turn off gas lines, things like that. So it is significant, and this is actually the system that Japan uses. The epicenter sensors in that area send a signal to nearby communities faster than the actual earthquake wave. So this was just the test phase. Only a few hundred people got this message, but this is definitely the future of earthquake preparedness, Ian.
Johanna, we'll get back to you in just a moment, but first a bit more on the earthquake. The biggest one the region has felt in almost 25 years, and in the Bay Area, there are memories of far worse. The 1906 California quake shattered San Francisco and killed hundreds, possibly thousands of people. The big one has haunted the area ever since, and in 1989, the specter returned.
We lost everything, and you see people who died in this building. We never thought it would be this bad.
A quake killed dozens, injuring thousands. Roads ripped, bridges buckled, buildings collapsed, and fires carpeted city blocks.
Ian Henemansing reports.
Reporting for The National, I saw the damage firsthand.
Not surprisingly, this neighborhood has attracted most of the emergency crews. The true toll of last Tuesday's disaster may not be known for months.
But despite the destruction, back then, I also heard this wasn't the big one people were waiting for. The legacy of 1906, it's an expectation of not just a quake, but a cataclysm. So along the West Coast, right up to Vancouver, every quake since 1906 has been a warning, a spur to build smarter, bolster emergency response, and rehearse for disaster. Mira Baines explains.
On the surface, Vancouver appears serene, the ideal West Coast city. But underneath the surface lurks the prospect of the big one, and people know it.
Well, I live on a pretty high floor, so it troubles me. I always wonder whether or not the architecture will hold up the way it's supposed to.
Even if we're worried about it, what can we really do about it? Like, make sure we're prepared emotionally, physically, spiritually.
We always talk about the big one. I'm not sure if it'll happen anytime soon.
Just yesterday, Vancouver's emergency services personnel ran a major earthquake exercise. Actors covered in fake blood gave it a realistic edge.
We live in a fault zone, number one, and they say we're ready to have something happen. So I think the more prepared we are, the better off we're going to be long-term and helping our neighbors and other people.
Workers dealt with simulated scenarios of burning buses and collapsed strip malls. The region has felt earthquakes. A 6.6 magnitude quake struck off the coast of BC before. Experts say a stronger quake is plausible in the Vancouver area.
We do have a legacy of older buildings that will not perform as well in an earthquake.
He says modern buildings are constructed to higher standards, but older schools and bridges need to be upgraded faster. Ward says the California quake is a wake-up call. This outdoor supply store says business is booming.
Just like Christmas for me, yes. It just reminds them that they should check their preparedness kits and update the product that has fallen out of date.
A major quake is coming, and today was another reminder it can't be underestimated. Mira Baines, CBC News, Vancouver.
And Johanna Wagstaff joins us again with more on quakes yet to come. And Johanna, we keep hearing a lot about the big earthquake, but I guess what happened in California is a reminder we shouldn't overlook the medium one.
Exactly, yeah, both the coast of California and the coast of BC waiting for that big one. But new studies have shown that it's the moderate size earthquakes, the 6.0s, the 7.0s, rather than the 9.0s, that may be just as destructive if they happen closer to a populated area. So just taking you up to the west coast of BC, this is our Cascadia subduction zone. This is the locked area, and most research shows us that the big one is expected to happen off the coast of Vancouver Island, so a good 300 kilometers from Vancouver. And while a big one would certainly be great, the impact would certainly be great, a 6.0 or a 7.0 with the epicenter closer to Vancouver would likely have as much, if not more, impact to the city of Vancouver, with the actual shaking and the epicenter happening in a smaller area. And we do get these moderate size earthquakes a lot more frequently than these great earthquakes. So yeah, Ian, as you said, a good reminder that it's not just the big ones that we're on the watch for.
We really need to get that earthquake kit ready. Thanks, Johanna.
You're welcome.
Johanna Wagstaff in Vancouver tonight. Well, earthquakes